Alright everyone, so now let's quickly create the reducer. So for that reducer, first thing what you have to do, you have to create the initial state. So I'll just take here initial state, and the first thing what you have to do, because we will be getting the nodes list from the Firebase, so that will be a list. So for that basically we need some array to store that data we will be getting from the API. So I'll just take here nodes list, and this will be empty array. So this is the first state we need. And the second thing what we need, we have to check the fetching status, whether the data we are calling from API, is it loading or not. So for that we need this is nodes data fetching. So this will be a boolean, so we'll take this one as false. So what we have to do, if this is true, we have to show that loading state, that's it. And also we can take, for example, is nodes data fetching failed. So if this is failed, then we also have to manage some state, and I think that's it. All right, so now we have to create the reducer. So I'll create here const nodes list reducer, and what it will take, I think we already know that this will take a state which will be our initial state, and it will take the action. And at the end what we have to do, we just have to take switch statement, and this will be action dot type, and based on the action dot type we have to do certain operation. So the first thing what we have to check, we have to take this particular fetching get list data. So this is the first state, or basically the action type we have to check. So we'll check here fetching get list data. If this is true, that means what we have to do, we have to return this particular is nodes data fetching as true. That means the data is getting loaded now. So that is in loading state. So here what we want to do for now, just return state and then is data fetching. This will be true for now. All right, so this is the first thing we need. Let's copy this and let's paste it 2 more times. So the second one will be fetching get list data successful. That means that the data we have already got. So this nodes list will be basically the data we will be getting from this action. So for that, what we will be doing here, basically we should have some particular payload that we will be getting from the Saga. So we'll put the data, whatever data we'll be getting from the API, we'll put that data into this particular Saga, and we'll be calling this action. So here we'll take, for example, nodes list data, and here I'll pass this nodes list data. Now this we will be just passing to our reducer. So when this data is getting successful, that means we are getting the nodes list, and this will be our action dot this nodes list data that we will be getting from this action. I hope you're understanding what I'm doing here. All right, now next thing what we have to do, basically we have to take the load failed state. So if there is any failing in the particular API call, so we just have to make this data fetching failed as true. That's it. And I think that's all about this particular reducer we have to create. And next what we have to do, we just have to export this. So this will be export default nodes list reducer. That's it. Now after that, what basically we have to do, we have to just import that particular reducer in our root reducer, and we have to just combine that. So this will be import nodes list reducer from this particular path, and this will be our nodes list reducer, and that's it. Now to check this, what we can do from this index.js, so basically from here we have to call that particular API, right? So for now we are just rendering the dummy data. So to check this one, the first thing what we have to do, we have to dispatch certain action. So this will be dispatch action to get API, to get the data from API. And here what we want to do, basically, for example, we want to call that API in the page load. So we'll take use effect, and let's give here empty dependency. Now what this will do, this will run only once on page load. So that means this is equivalent to component did mount. Now what we have to do, next thing, we have to import that use dispatch method that we have already discussed. So I'll just take a const dispatch, and this will be use dispatch. All right, now what we want to do here, we want to dispatch that action. And what action we have to dispatch, I hope this is clear, because in the Saga you can see that we have given in the take every this particular action type. So this is the initialization action that we have to dispatch. So this is init get list data. So if I just go to our action and check this particular type, you'll see that this is the action we have to dispatch. So we have to just copy this, and then we just have to paste it here, and then just trigger this, and then we also have to import this one. And I think now this is done. Now what it will do, basically this will dispatch this particular action on the page load. And to check this one, what we can do, if I just go to our Saga, you can see that we have already console.log this particular console, and we have to check whether this is coming or not on the page load. So let's go back and let's see. So I think there is some problem because some blank screen is coming in. If I just go to console, you see that the slice reducer for this key is returning undefined during initialization. Okay, why is that? So if I just go to our reducer, all right, so I can see that in the default we are not returning the state. So I think we just have to return state here. That's it. Now let's save this and let's see. So if I just refresh now, and now you can see that we are getting the list saga from this saga file, and this is working. So that means our store is now set up for this particular page. So if I just go to this add new page, and if I just go to this notes list page, you'll see that we'll be getting that page load because we are calling that saga on the page load. So if I just go here, and you'll see that now we are getting list saga. So now everything is set up. What we have to do in the next video is that we just have to call that API from this Firebase endpoint. Once we'll get the list of data, we just have to pass that data back to reducer, and from reducer we have to get the data back to our component, and based on that we have to render that data here. Let's do that in the next videos.